guys, and welcome back to Reading Club. Today I'm going to read you the 65 Story Treehouse, Chapter 11 and 12. Chapter 11, The Future's Future. We swirl and swirl and swirl some more until we finally stop swirling. I've got some good news and some bad news, says Terry, looking out of the bin. The bad news is we are 650 million years in the future. The good news is we're at the beach. I look around. It's a weird beach. The sea is black. The sky is red. Oh yeah, and we're surrounded by giant crabs. I can't understand why there are giant crabs everywhere, says the inspector. I'm sure I left the giant crab eliminator button on back at the safety central headquarters. Says Terry, I think I might have turned it off again when you weren't looking. I couldn't help it. I just really wanted to see a giant crab. You idiot, Terry, I say. Thanks to you, the future Earth is now overrun with giant crabs. Yeah, I know, says Terry, and I'm sorry, but look on the bright side. Giant crabs are pretty cool. Yeah, you're right, I say. They are extremely cool and very, very dangerous. It's interesting, though, says Terry, because this is just like what's happening at the end of The Time Machine by H.G. Wells. The time traveler goes into the future as far as he can, almost to the end of time, and lands on a beach, and there are giant crabs all over the place. I thought that book was fiction, I said. So did I, says Terry, but it was obviously based on actual fact. H.G. Wells must have time traveled here himself. Otherwise, how could he have described it all so exactly? Oh dear, says the inspector. Look over there. One of the giant crabs that got hold of an old-fashioned man and is waving him around his giant crab claw. Good man, put me down. Leave it to me, says the inspector, leaping out of the bin. I'll save him. Wait for us, I say. You can't fight a crab that big all by yourself. Yet the inspector is already too far ahead and too excited to hear me. He's really getting into this risk-taking thing, isn't it? Says Terry. Yeah, I say, maybe a little too much. We better go and make sure he's okay. He jumps out of the bin and runs after him. Help me, man from the future, calls H.G. Wells as the inspector runs towards him and caught in a giant crab's claw. Don't worry, Mr. Wells, says the inspector. We'll help you. How do you know my name, says H.G. Wells. I'll explain later, says the inspector. First, we need to teach this crab some good old-fashioned manners. Holding his pen and clipboard like a sword and shield, Inspector Bubblewort rushes towards the crab. But the crab snatches the inspector up in the other claw and waves him around in the air beside H.G. Wells. Oh dear, says Terry, that didn't work very well at all. Maybe I should try my balloon. He gets it out of his pocket. Hang on, I say, snake charming is one thing, but I've never heard of a crab charming. Especially not giant crab charming. I'm not going to charm it, says Terry. Crabs hate the sound of screeching balloons. Everybody knows that. I didn't even know crabs had ears, I say. Well, technically they don't, explains Terry, but they can feel sounds, and they don't like the feel of screeching balloons. Terry blows the balloon up, pinches the neck, and releases the air in a high-pitched scream directly at the crab. The crab's antennas start whipping around wildly. It shudders, shakes, and sways from side to side. Terry keeps up the screeching until the crab flings H.G. Wells and the inspector to the ground and scuttles away. Phew, that was a close save, says H.G. Wells, standing up and brushing sand off his tweed suit. Closer for some than others, says Terry. Look at the inspector. He's been cut clean in half by the giant crab's jaw. Huh. Oh no, I say, what are we going to do? Bubble warp, says Terry. Good idea, I say. Popping bubble warp always calms me down. Not for you, Andy, says Terry. For the inspector. We can use it to join him back up again. Quick, get his legs and hold them in place. Terry pulls on the inspector's roll of bubble warp and wraps. And wraps and wraps. Finally, the inspector is as good as new. He leaps into his feet and yelled, "That was awesome. Did you see me? I fought a giant crab and I wasn't even scared. Look at this shell I took. Selfie I took if you don't believe me." It was indeed very brave, says H.G. Wells, if not perhaps just a mite foolhardy. I mean, I am, however, forever in your debt, man from the future, and you too with the magical transparent warp. Do you live here with the Christians? Oh no, we're from the past too, says Terry, only not quite as far back as you. You're a time traveler? He says. Yes, says Terry, that's our time machine over there. It used to be a wheelie bin. I was inspired to convert it into a time machine after reading your book. Which book are you talking about, says H.G. Wells. The Time Machine, of course, says Terry. The Time Machine, repeats H.G. Wells slowly, but I have not written any such book. Not yet, I say, but you will. Yes, I believe I will, he says. That sounds like an excellent idea. I'll write about my time-traveling adventures. That's what we do, says Terry. We mostly write about stuff that actually happened to us. Yeah, I say, why make stuff up when real life is so interesting? You're writers too, says H.G. Wells. Yes, says Terry. I'm Terry, and this is Andy. He does the words, and I do the pictures. And I inspect buildings, says the inspector. Inspector Bubble Warp at your service. It's an honor to meet you. Well, I'm honored to meet you all as well, says H.G. Wells. How can I ever repay you for saving me from that monstrous crab-like creature? Could you help us repair a time machine, says Terry. Possibly, says H.G. Wells. What exactly seemed to be the problem? Our chronometer is stuck on numbers 6 and 5, says Terry. Only the zeros are moving. H.G. Wells smiles and nods. Ah, yes, that's happened to me many times. Chronometers can be very temperamental. Let me have a look at it. Here's the problem, says H.G. Wells. This bit of popcorn was stuck in the permanent defibrillator. I've reset the chronometer, but it's a little damaged. I'm afraid it'll only get you back to the time from which you started your journey. Thanks, H.G., says Terry. Yeah, thanks, I say. We can't get our building permit, but at least we can get back to our time. I understand, says H.G. Wells. I am as eager to return to my time as you are to yours. As you know, I have a novel to write, and, as usual, the deadline is looming, and with your permission, I'd like to include you in my story and describe your heroic acts. That might be a problem. I say our contract with our publisher, Mr. Bignos, doesn't allow us to appear in anyone else's books. That's a pity, says Terry. I'd love to see who would win our fight between the giant crab and the Trunkinator. Oh, sorry. I see publishers are no more reasonable in your time than they are in my time, says H.G., nodding. I guess some things never change. Rest assured, I won't mention you in my narrative. Does your publisher also have a big nose, says Terry? As a matter of fact, it is rather large, says H.G. I have a picture of him. See? Yikes, says Terry. Well, all that ends well, says H.G. It's been a pleasure, gentlemen. Goodbye, and have a great time traveling. We wave goodbye at H.G. Wells' time machine. We wave goodbye as H.G. Wells' time machine disappears into the past. I wish we could take one of the giant crabs back with us, says Terry. Nice idea, I say, but they're quite dangerous, and besides, there's no way we could fit one in the bin. That's a pity, says Terry. I'd love to see what will win our fight between a giant crab and the Trunkinator. Yeah, me too, says the inspector. That would really be something to see. We climb onto our time machine. Hold on tight, says Terry. Here we go, back to the prison. Chapter 12, Back to the Prison. As we swirl our way backwards through time, I have my fingers crossed we'll arrive safely back at the treehouse. It feels like we've been away for ages. Hey, I can smell marshmallows, says Terry, and lemonade, says the inspector. And chocolate, pizza, ice cream, lollipops, Dodge Gym cars, popcorn, and ants, I say. We must be getting close to the treehouse. I open the lid of the bin and see that, sure enough, we are hurtling straight towards our treehouse, our ant farm, the ant farm that Jill made us promise never to disturb again. Terry, can you sheer us away from the ant farm? I say, into the chocolate fountain and maybe, or the swimming pool. I can't control it, says Terry. I forgot to ask H.G. Wells to fix the steering. Brace yourselves! Smash. Wow, he's smashing into an ant farm. We all fall out of the bin onto the level where the ant farm used to be. There are ants everywhere. Angry ants even angrier than they were before. It doesn't take them long to regroup into a massive angry ant fist. The ant fist rises above us. We shut our eyes and prepare to be ant fist punched into oblivion. Smile! I wait, but nothing happens. I open my eyes. The ant fist is still poised above us, but it's not coming down. The inspector seems slightly disappointed. I look across at Terry. There's a large, weird-looking ant sitting on his head. It's wriggling its antennas towards the ant and the ant fist. There's something on your head. Is there something on my head? Says Terry. Yes, says Terry. I say, a big ant. I think it's talking to our ants. It must be the prehistoric ant I saved from the exploding dinosaur. Dinosaurs. Or, says Terry, it must be in my pocket. It's been in my pocket the whole time. I forgot all about it. That's not the only thing you forgot about, says a tiny voice below us. We look down and see a tiny person with a mini megaphone. Jill, I say, is that you? Of course it's me, she says. Where have you been? You went off and left me here all small. I was nearly eaten by a spider, you know. Do you have any idea how scary spiders are when you're in the size of an ant? I'm so sorry, Jill, I say. We have to go traveling back in time to get a building permit for the treehouse to stop it being demolished. But Terry controlled the time machine, and we went all over history and into the future, and we sort of forgot all about it. Well, that's pretty obvious, she says. We've been on quite a journey, that's true, says the inspector. But according to my watch, only a few minutes have passed since we left. It's been much longer than that for me, says Jill. Time passes faster when you're small. I've been living with the ants for a whole year. I thought you were never coming back. Jill's ear with the ants at a glance. Gathering food. Hey, I found a hamburger. I stupid sugar crumbs. Discussing what to do with the dead beetle. We need to give it a proper burial. But it's already dead and we're hungry, dead beetle. Watching Auntie the Antsy Ant. Awesome, brilliant, fab, so boring. Go, Auntie! Auntie. Battling a deadly ant-eating spider. Removing a wandering giant ant-eater. Will you ever be able to forgive us, I say. Oh, I suppose so, says Jill. I have to admit it wasn't all bad. My real question is whether the ants can forgive you for breaking your solemn promise never to disturb the ant farm ever again. It appears they already have, I say. Well, Terry, at least, they formed themselves into a massive a certificate ant of gratitude. To Terry, with deep gratitude for saving our prehistoric ant sister from the exploding dinosaur. You are a hero of all antkind, and we will never squish you or stomp you or Andy, never, ever again. Love from your pals, the ants. Signed, and the Queen and the Six. That is so typical of the ant kingdom, says Jill. Ants are some of the nicest people I have ever met. Would you like me to draw you back to normal size, says Terry? Not right now, says Joe. There are a few things I need to do, and I think the ants are going to need a little help with building their farm. I'll call you on the Micro Mini Megaphone when I'm ready. Well, that all worked out nicely, says Terry. Yes, I say, except we still don't have our building permit. Oh yeah, says Terry, I completely forgot. That's why we went time traveling in the first place, and now we can't go back because our time machine is broken. I turned to the inspector. So, do we still need the permit? I'm afraid so, he says. Without the permit, I can't cancel the demolition, and I can't issue a permit because your treehouse vultures almost every section of the building code. No, see page 86 to 95. But can you make an exception, says Terry? Just this once. You really seem to enjoy our trip through time and all the dangerous stuff that happened. Well, yes, says the inspector, but doing the chariot race was way more dangerous than our walking horse racetrack or Dodge gym car rink, says Terry. And that pit of asps, micro snakes, and ladder level look less harmless as a petting zoo, I reminded him. And aren't you the guy who fought a giant crab, says Terry? Remember that? Terry shows the inspector his selfie. Yes, says the inspector, I did, didn't I? I really did fight a giant crab. You sure did, I say. Nobody's ever fought a bigger or more dangerous crab in the history of the entire world. The inspector rubs his chin thoughtfully. Well, let's see. I mean, give everything that we've been, I can overlook something like the sharks, the bowling alley, and the chainsaws, but there's absolutely no way I can ignore the fact that you do not have a disabled access ramp, and therefore I simply cannot issue the permit no matter how much I would like to. My hands are tired. Terrible. Great. What if we build one, I say? Well, of course, says the inspector. If you build the ramp, I can issue the permit and call off the wrecking crew. But I'm afraid you don't have much time. They'll be here any minute. No problem, I say. We can do it, but we're going to need some extra Andes and Terrys. Come on, Terry, to the cloning machine. We haven't a moment to lose. With the help of our clones and some of Jill's animals, we built a ramp at super speed and have it ready just in time for the grand opening. Yay, I made it! Just in time for dinner. No, I say to the inspector, what do you think? I've inspected a lot of ramps in my life, he says, but this is by far the most dangerous one I've ever seen. I love it. He signs a piece of paper on his clipboard, hands it to us, and says, the ramp you've built is perfect and has earned my stamp of approval. So your treehouse now has a permit and there's no need for its removal. Cool, says Terry. We can put the permit on the tree's trunk right next to my certificate. The inspector shakes her hand and says, and now there's nothing for me to do but to go and cancel the wrecking crew, so I take my leaves on you. I bid the two of you an adieu. The inspector grabs a vine and swings down through the leaves and into the forest. Now, can I say it? Asks Terry. Say what? That everything has worked out quite nicely. Not really, I say, because there's still one thing we haven't done. What thing? Says Terry. We still haven't written our book, and it's due at 12 o'clock. What time is it now? Almost 12 o'clock. Gulp, says Terry. Well, that's the end of this channel. If you liked it, please subscribe, Reading Club, and click many likes. Thank you, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye.